It all began 4 days ago, right at the southern gateway of Malaysia, Johor Bahru. My original plan was simple. Take the brand new ETS line all the way from Johor Bahru to Kuala Lumpur. But when the long-awaited launch got postponed again, everything changed. What felt like a setback turned into the perfect twist. Because it gave me the rare chance to ride the classic old-school diesel train. That is a piece of Malaysia rail history. I rode into Kluang, the temporary starting point of the ETS, until mid-December. And from there, I boarded the southernmost ETS train currently running, heading straight towards Kuala Lumpur. My full train journey hits another curveball when a bus became the only way to continue from Kuala Lumpur to Taiping. But once I reached Taiping, the rails called me back. I rejoined the ETS and pushed on north. I then make a meaningful stop at Bukit Mertajam, a little personal closure of my own, before hopping onto the KTM commuter train for the last stretch to Alor Setar. And now, after this whirlwind diesel, electric and everything in between, it's time to go home. Bye-bye. The question is, how am I getting back? Hey everybody, Uncle Go Traveling here. I'm doing a 4-day trip across Peninsular Malaysia, stopping at 5 towns and cities, all by railway and road. I begin in Johor Bahru, then ride up to Kluang, then Kuala Lumpur, onward bus to Taiping, then continue by train to Bukit Mertajam, and finally end in Alor Setar. It is going to be a cross-country road adventure. Landscape, local shops, train life, and more. Join me in this overland journey. Homebound. For the past day and night, I have only a quick touch-and-go taste of Alor Setar. But honestly, this place leaves a really first good impression. Great food, calm vibes, and the city feel wonderfully laid back. But my holiday clock is ticking. In just 2 days, I need to report back to work. And home is a very long way from here. Alor Setar sits almost 800 kilometers away from Singapore. And the journey back, it is not going to be simple. To get home by rail, I need 3 trains. First, Alor Setar to Kuala Lumpur by ETS. Then Kuala Lumpur to Kluang on another ETS. And finally, the slow diesel train from Kluang all the way down to Johor Bahru. Basically, I will be retracing everything I traveled over the past few days just in reverse. If everything goes smoothly, that's around 16 hours of train back to back, and that's without counting the transit gaps in between. Could I take a bus instead? Sure, but an 800-kilometer bus ride? I better think twice about that. Guess where my Grab dropped me off? You guessed it, Alor Setar Airport, also known as Sultan Abdul Halim Airport. Walking through the terminal feels almost peaceful. Not buzzing and crowded, but definitely alive. There is this quiet, unhurried energy. It is the kind of regional airport vibe that is small, but it just works at clockwork precision. The Alor Setar Airport feels cozy, one of the smallest airports I have been through, yet so functional. I can see from end to end in just a few steps. My flight is just up on the departure board, so yes, I'm in the right place. The check-in queue is short, which is one of the perks of a smaller airport. Staff at the counters are welcoming, friendly, helpful, and a pleasure to interact with.
Okay, bye.
Now I head into the departure hall. It is modest, no sprawling duty-free shops or flashy lounges. just a small cafeteria tucked in the middle. That simplicity is kind of refreshing. And here comes my moment to board. For regional airports, I actually expected a bus ride out to the plane. But no, I get to walk across a sky bridge right to the aircraft. That surprised me in the best way. Alright, time to fly. Next stop, Kuala Lumpur, and let's go. In this trip, I'm flying by Malaysia Airlines. The aircraft is a classic 3x3 seating layout. And I am lucky enough to score a window seat. That's one very place where every flight journey begins with a little kind of magic. As the plane taxis and lifts off, I'm glued to the porthole. There is something incredibly calming about watching the world shrunk beneath you. Below me, the vast green paddy fields of Kedah stretches all the way to the horizon. A perfect patchwork of rice terrace glowing under the sun. Every now and then, an isolated hill rises out of the flat plain like a giant watching over the land. In no time, the plane makes a gentle turn towards the coastline. This is the northern gateway into the Straits of Malacca. I cannot help but to put my geography skills to the test, trying to figure out exactly where we are. Small clusters of islands appear along the Kedah coastline. Then suddenly, a huge familiar silhouette comes into view. Penang Island. It is unmistakable, with Penang Hill rising proudly in the middle of the island. I can't help but wonder, is my travel buddy back home resting, or still somewhere along his bus journey? Moments later, Bukit Mertajam drifts past below, a place I was exploring just days ago. It feels surreal seeing it from the sky. A light refreshment arrives. And when I look out again, I am pretty sure we are gliding over Taiping, cities wrapped in the mountains and among the clouds. Then the aircraft slips into the world of clouds, floating through what seems like cotton castles in the sky. The entire flight from Alor Setar to Kuala Lumpur takes about 1 hour, and before long, familiar landscapes reappear through the window. We are descending now, likely close to KLIA, because planes usually avoid flying right above Kuala Lumpur city centre for safety reasons. The plane touches down at Kuala Lumpur International Airport, and honestly, it feels surreal again. I have not set foot in this airport for ages, so of course, time for a little wander around this massive place. I got about 2 hours before my next flight. At first, I thought I was in the wrong terminal. Turns out, I'm actually in the domestic section of KLIA. And the funny part, the domestic side isn't linked directly to the international terminal. If I want to visit the proper KLIA building and ride the iconic aerotrain, yes, the infamous one, that means clearing immigration, walking out, and then re-entering and clearing immigration again. All that for a 2-hour layover? Yeah, no way. So I settle for looping the small shopping area again and again and again. When my legs give up, I switch to plan B. That is to charge every piece of equipment I have. While waiting, I started catching up with friends on WhatsApp. And it turns out some of them are hanging out in Johor Bahru tonight. And that's when a wild idea hits me. Why not try to meet them for dinner later? It is a long shot. I'm still over 300 kilometers away. But that again, this journey now has a mission, and that makes the wait feel faster. With that goal in mind, and with the group chat buzzing, the next thing I know, it's boarding time. Now, it is time for the next leg of today's trip. By the time I switch on my camera back, we are already touching down at Senai Airport. This is actually my first time landing here in Senai, and honestly, I didn't expect this. Senai Airport feels surprisingly big, modern, and spacious. The terminal design had that clean contemporary look, almost like a mini international hub. I am genuinely impressed. Right after the arrival hall, you will see the usual SIM card counter and money changers. But what really caught my eyes is the F&B section of this airport. It almost feels like I walking straight into JB City Square instead of an airport cafe area. Outside the airport, the architecture is sleek and streamlined. I head towards the bus stop, thinking I could catch a bus to Lakin Terminal and then Johor Bahru City. But the clock is clicking. My friends are already waiting for me at City Square. So bus, not today. Grab it is. Senai Airport sits about 30 km from Johor Bahru, roughly a 30 minutes drive. It feels really crazy when you think about it. Just a few hours ago, I was 800 kilometers away in Alor Setar. And now, I'm half an hour from meeting my friends and at the doorstep of home. Flights travel really makes the world feel small, and moments like this remind me why I love filming this journey. And just like that, after hours on the road, I finally stepped into City Square. The best part, sneaking up behind my friends and surprising them as they are about to head into the restaurant. Even though my friends and I are meeting in a foreign land, there's this warm sense of familiarity, like a little pocket of home across the border. We settled down for dinner at a cozy Korean restaurant, sharing stories, laughter, and that comforting feeling of reconnecting after days of solo traveling. I was invited to stay the night in Johor Bahru. But as much as I enjoy this city, my heart is already pulling me back across the causeway. I just want to sleep in my own bed tonight in Singapore. So sorry about it. And I say goodbyes, give them one last wave, and begin my final border crossing of this trip. Back at JB Central, the exact place where this entire journey starts 4 days ago. I retrace my steps through the CIQ. The hall is packed with Singapore day trippers heading home. Everyone moving with their familiar end of the day rhythm. And then, one last walk, one last checkpoint, and I'm officially back. Back on Singapore soil. And back home. If you enjoy traveling with me from Alor Setar down to Johor Bahru and finally back to Singapore, drop a like, leave a comment, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I will see you in the next destination.